this is some of the priceless things. This bell in this fort right here was Solomon Wood, who was an officer from this area, and during the Revolution, he was given 1,000 acres of land for service in the Revolution. And he built that fort, which was about a mile out of town, east of us, and he had a bell. The original map of the county, which is in that next room, has a paragraph on it about Solomon Wood's bell that he would ring when the Indians were acting up. And believe it or not, about 20 years ago, a lady walked in and said, "Here is Solomon Wood's bell. It's been on our hearts for 11 generations." And that's the bell right there.
Wow.
And my son built all of this, and a friend had this built for us. We think that's Solomon Wood's. That's the way they were made then, so that you could you could shoot from up here down, and these are the hell. And so this after we'd been here for years, the lady walked in and said, "This is Solomon Wood's bell," and see the clapper in there moving. And now you couldn't hear it from far away now, but back before trains and planes and everything, you could hear that a mile away or more. And that would bring everybody into the fort.
Were there ever any large Indian battles here?
Yes. Not noticeable, but there's a letter here where Solomon Wood wrote the governor that he needed help, that they were being attacked by the Indians, and the story goes that the Indians got to some people before they could get into the fort. They killed the adults, but somehow a child lady lived. They scalped her, a small, evidently.
And I don't actually have much info on how Joseph Maybank Jones died in 1831, but it might be possible to say that it was an early conflict, perhaps with the Native Americans. He was an early legislator, and he was from Liberty County, and it'd be kind of interesting to see how Liberty County was carved up, because we might actually be in Liberty County. In any case, he was near Louisville, and on his way back to Liberty County, he seems to have died somehow, age only 26 and 8 months. And here's the epitaph to him, buried in this corner of the Revolutionary War Cemetery. That's a landmark right at the back of the cemetery. You can't miss where this grave is.
A lot of these were found locally, but I've had some people here. One of them had actually been a young girl. She says she was from North Florida. She said, "We have the largest, in our house, we have the largest collection of arrowheads that we know of. We never find any bigger." And I sort of, yeah, poo-pooed that. She said, "I'm going to send it to you." The whole house is full of arrowheads. There are drums full of pieces that you can tell it was a piece of an arrowhead like that, you know. And those are pipes, settlers' pipes. That's a drill. And anything over about that long is a spearhead.
Just off the main road from Louisville to Bartow on your left is the old Revolutionary War Cemetery. I'm here to look specifically for the grave of Major Patrick Carr in the Revolutionary War, who's a fascinating figure. Very little is known about him, but it seems that he got into some interesting feuds. I'll tell you his story in just a second. So I was on Find a Grave, and I saw that one of the men buried in this cemetery was a major, and a major is pretty high ranking, so I figured I'd look up a little bit more info about him. It said that Patrick Carr was an absolute terror to the Tory sympathizers of inland Georgia. Out of this county, he actually bragged about killing 100 Tories with his bare hands. And apparently, in 1802, he was killed by folks who either resented him for his brutal treatment of the British sympathizers or by British sympathizers themselves, because the War of 1812 was right around the corner. And he's buried right alongside a lot of immigrants that came from Ireland. And actually over here, you've got some evidence that these families who remained in the area, the Thompson family specifically, because Carr is from County Derry, but the Thompson family actually contributed later Confederates as well, and you can see the Confederate war grave right in the middle, surrounded by his ancestors who fought in the Continental Line. Yeah, like many early pioneers in places like Jefferson County, you had folks coming in from County Sligo, Ireland, and all over Ireland, really. And here we have the grave of Brigadier General James Gunn. Would have been very high-ranking, and of course the Gunn clan from Scots-Irish lore. He was a patriot in the Revolutionary War, and a brigadier general, too. And this is a very interesting grave, the Honorable Roger L. Gamble, and it's said that he died on December 20th, 1847, and it's very interesting here that it says he served his country as a commissioned officer in the last war with Great Britain. I think it's really interesting to see Great Britain almost portrayed as an enemy here. It says he was a prominent member of the legislature of Georgia and a representative of Congress. Towards the end of his life, he became a member of the Presbyterian Church militant. And over here, you've got the Gamble family, John Gamble, who was in the Georgia troops of the Revolutionary War. And you can see the emblem they leave behind to signify a patriot. And this was also probably some relation to the family because they're buried so close, Roger Lawson.